What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about brewing on a budget in Commander. This is going to be the first of a series of budget brews featured on my channel, as I've seen many discussions online lately about how people are being priced out of the game by the rising prices by Wizards of the Coast, or the constant stream of new and powerful cards being too much to keep up with. And while these are both valid criticisms, building functional and powerful decks on a budget is absolutely possible. You just need to be smart about it. So first off, let's set some ground rules that we'll be following when we head in today's budget brew. 1. We're aiming to build functioning decks that can win games. I tend to approach Commander with a fairly competitive mindset, and I know that's not for everyone, but I enjoy powerful cards in powerful formats. Shout out to the good people playing with power. Number 2, we will be building around our commanders, so synergy will be key. We don't have the luxury of playing all the best cards in our colors, aka junding it out, so synergy will be absolutely vital, which means partners for the most part are off the table when working on a budget. There are, of course, a few exceptions to this, as some partners do function as combo pieces in the command zone, like Malcolm, Thrasios, Tormod, those sort of ones, and they could be viable on a budget. But finally, while I understand everyone has a varying level of disposable income, especially with the way things are going right now around the world, I am going to try and limit these decks to about $100 USD. Prices taken from Card Kingdom. I might venture over the line every now and then, but if it's too much for your budget, you will be able to make cuts. The videos in this series will be broken down into sections, and as long as the main core stays intact, the decks will be able to function for even cheaper than what I put it up as, right? Now, the first deck in this series, and the deck we're going to tackle today, is my personal pet deck, and the deck that I have played to an enormous amount of success since it was printed, Magda Brazen Outlaw. This deck is my absolute go-to. It's the CDH deck that I play the most, and I probably win with it with a larger percentage of time than you should with a mono red deck in CDH. But let's get a look at the list. So this here is the list that I play. Obviously, we look down here, 3,700. That's a lot more than we want. So what I've gone and done is I've gone and I've copied the deck into a new list that I've called Magda Budget Clockmaster instead of Brazen Clockmaster. I've then gone in here and I've gone update everything to the cheapest. I've gone through, I've had to cut a bunch of cards, obviously all the mana rocks, except for like Soul Ring, because everyone has that. But all the expensive ones, I've had to make the cut on those. Same with the lands, Ancient Tombs, Cavern of Souls, Gemstone Caverns, all those kind of beautiful lands have had to go. Docksides, Ragavans, Deflecting Swats, all those beautiful cards, and even our Cavern Horde Dragon. A new beautiful card. Obviously, let me just preface this by saying, if you have any of these cards, play them. By all means, play them. This is just for someone who wants to looking to build a new deck and may not have those cards. This is the budget list I've come up with. Okay, so I've got prices enabled on this side so you can see exactly where the money's being spent. So it's coming at $113 US. It's a little bit over. If you do need to lower that, probably one of the best cuts here would be Unlicensed Hearse. It's a really important interaction piece, as you really don't have any ways to interact with anyone's graveyards outside of this card, as well as it just being one of the better vehicles for crewing. But that's totally up to you. I'm happy with this sitting at 113, and let's go through and let's look at some of the changes that we've had to make. Alright, so first off, I guess I should just run through how the deck works, right? Now, the idea of the deck is to get Magda on the field and assemble 10 treasures. If you do that, you win, right? 10 treasures is a lot. So what can you do instead? Well, if you have 5 treasures and an artifact creature that is also a dwarf, so Universal Automaton fulfills that, Adaptive Automaton, Bloodline Pretender, any of those kind of cards, they fulfill the requirement. There are also plenty of cards in here, such as Ashnod's Transmogrant, Liquid Metal Coating, Liquid Metal Torque, that can turn Magda into an artifact creature, which will fulfill the requirement alone without the need of an extra creature. But if you have that, say Magda is an artifact creature, and you have 5 treasures, well then you can go find the win there. Obviously this is assuming no interaction, but here's how it works. You have Magda as an artifact creature. You have 5 treasures. You activate Magda's ability, sacrificing the 5 treasures. You go and you find Clock of Omens. Now, Clock of Omens says you may tap 2 untapped artifacts you control to untap target artifact. If you tap the artifact creature Magda, or any artifact creature dwarf for that matter, and the newly found Clock of Omens, targeting the artifact dwarf to untap, when it becomes tapped, Magda triggers, you make a treasure, and then your dwarf artifact creature untaps. Now you can tap the freshly made treasure alongside the artifact dwarf to untap the artifact dwarf, repeatedly, netting a new treasure every time. So now that you've got infinite treasures, you can go and find either... you can find Zorn by going to Maskwood Nexus, then to Zorn, or you can find this guy here, Battered Golem, that whenever an artifact comes into play, you may untap it. Now, once you find that, you can tap it plus your artifact dwarf to untap the artifact dwarf, which will make a treasure. When the treasure enters, Battered Golem untaps. So now you're making infinite untapped treasures, meaning you've got infinite mana and infinite treasures, which means infinite mana and infinite tutors of your library. Now, what you can do with that is you come over here and you find Pirate Spellbomb, and you shoot a player for 2 damage. Then you come find Elixir of Immortality, and you shuffle them back. Then you find this and this again, and you shoot a player again for 2 damage. And you just rinse and repeat, finding those 2 cards and present a loop of it to kill the table. Now, to get a better understanding of exactly what changes I have made to the deck, if you come to the list, you can press this Enable Tags button. So now if you look at the deck-specific tags, which will show up, I've got a bit more of a breakdown here. So down here in the budget, these are all the cards that were added due to budget, that are in the budget list that aren't in the main list. Now, there are also extra mountains in this, because I definitely don't play 22 mountains in the original list. Right? Now, all these cards are great cards in the deck. They all fill a different role, and a lot of them fantastically priced for what they do. Alright, so if we have a look at the breakdown, you've got the main core. Cards here in the main core, they're going to be your things that turn things into artifacts, your combo loopy pieces, and yeah, your like untappy combo pieces, extra treasures of Zorn, Maskwood Nexus, which that's another combo in the deck. If you ever lose your Clock of Omens, you can get Maskwood Nexus and Battered Golem, which will turn Battered Golem into an artifact creature that is also a dwarf. So now, if you crew it on a vehicle, it'll make a treasure and untap itself. So you just continuously activate the crew ability of one of the numerous vehicles in the deck to get an infinite number of treasures. And then you perform the same loop. Pirate Spellbomb, Universal Automaton. There are other ways, and there are other ways. You know what, actually, we're going to make one change here live. I have this little dwarf that I've added into the deck. See this Impulsive Pilferer here? We're actually going to remove it from the deck, and instead we're going to put in Skirk Prospector. Now, if I come here, it's going to be untagged, so let's fix that. We're going to give it the budget tag. We're also going to give it a ramp tag. I don't know what just happened there. So let's go back down here and try again. We're going to give it the budget tag, and we're going to give it the ramp tag, and we're going to give it... Look, that'll do. It also functions as a backup combo, and this is why I've made the change. Of course, you have the ability to sack a goblin to add red. Should you ever lose access to your Pirate Spellbomb, what you can do now is, with Masked Nexus on the board and Infinite Treasures, you can go find your dragon, Beguiled Hellkite, deal 5 damage wherever you like. And you can shoot a Fiskirk Prospector because it's also a dragon. And then because this is also a goblin, you can then sack it, shuffle it back in with Elixir of Immortality, tutor it again, and it's just another way you can win instead of Pirate's Bubble. And fun enough, that one, I was going to say that one works through Null Rod, but Elixir of Immortality says it doesn't. But it does kill Oof. I guess that kills. No, that doesn't kill it. There you go. That one kills Oof. Combo certified. Anyway, we have our dragons. Drakaseth, potentially being able to deal with 3 threats at a time. It does lack haste, so it's more of something you want to tutor at the end step. But it deals with boards. It's a big body. And it's the kind of thing we need in these games that are going to go longer because the deck's not going to combo on turn 2 or 3. It's probably going to combo on turn 4 or 5, right? So we do need some cards that are better if the game goes longer, or if some stacks hits the board and we're looking to play through a grind. Now, Beguiled Hellkite, again, wonderful card. Tutorable, board wipe on a body. Well, board wipe. It deals with a lot of little things. While also being able to be looped to end games. Now, Dwarves, we're just playing all the Wonder Dwarves. I did have to cut Dwarven Armorer. I would love to play it, but I had a $5 price tag for a 0-2 that does nothing except be a dwarf. Again, you have it, play it, but I had to cut it from this list. I've added in Axeguard Cavalry. It's almost good enough to run in the main list. Being able to give your dwarves that just entered haste, just can generate treasures a little bit quicker. Your Miner and Blast Miner here, they function really well in grindier games. Picking off dual lands of typically 3 and 4 color decks can be really, really detrimental to their game plan, and you net treasures while doing it, which is always great. Blood Boiler, Glittering Caves, they are in the original list. So Plundering Barbarian, it's really good. Destroy target artifact, create treasure token. You know, it's just both are good options. What other cheaper cards have we added in? I should look over this list, to be honest. But it's mostly just removal. The cards you really need to be able to kill. Opposition Agent hurts you, but Drowneth Magistrate, oh, that card makes this deck groan. So you've got Flame Slash, you've got Lithomantic Barrages, you've got Stoke the Flames, where we've got Interaction, yeah. Okay, Hellkite, Spine of Ish, Drakaseth, Pyrokinesis, Sky Sovereign, Twin Shot Sniper, Stoke the Flames, Thunderclap, Gurpa, Aether Grid even, Chaos Walk, Wild Magic Surge, Abrade, Rending Volley, Lithomantic, Lightning Bolt, and Flame Slash. So we can deal with stacks creatures. We're not going to have an oof that sits there forever to try and stall out our game plan. We're not going to let them sit on a Drowneth Magistrate and ruin our day. We have the tools to play around those. And then this is all just cards that accelerate our game plan. They could be like tappers, so anything that lets us tap without attacking. Our dwarves are quite small. We will not always have safe places to swing them, so sometimes we will just crew. Now, in case you're unaware, even if you've crewed and it's resolved and your vehicle is now a creature, you can still activate that crew ability as often as you like. So you can just continuously crew, which is how some of the combos in the deck work. Now, Clown Car, it being able to be played as a 0-drop can allow some really nutty early turns if you have a number of the 1-drop dwarves in your hand. Once you've got Magda, you can play it out for 0, tap Magda to make a treasure, use the treasure for a dwarf, crew that dwarf, make a new treasure, use it, and just play them all out to get some quite accelerated turns. Mines of Moria, recent addition from the new Lord of the Rings set. You never want to see it as your first land, but anything after that, it's pretty good. Later in the game, exiling 3 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. It throws off your opponent's math. They forget about it. It can put them in a bad position. Paradise Mantle, again, if you don't have any safe attacks, you can equip it to one of your dwarves for 1, then tap that dwarf to get you 1 mana back. That'll make you treasure. Use that 1 mana you've just got from the dwarf to then equip it to your next dwarf, and so on and so forth. And you can tap the whole board down using Paradise Mantle. Now, it is one of the cards that put me over the budget. I just kind of had to add it. It's one of those cards, it's so close to being in my budget list. But when we don't have all the fast mana rocks, you just you need something, right? So it put me a little bit over. Now, Treasure Vault, again, is one of the lands that I play in the main list that I just could not cut. Yeah, it's just so good, right? So it's artifact land, XX and tap and sack to create X treasure token. Onslaught, it's kind of cute card. Now, this, I could play the deck without it. But whenever you successfully cast a creature spell, that's old wording, same as like the same wording that's used on original Mystic Remora. It's just whatever you cast. Doesn't need to be successful. It's whatever you cast. Tap target creature. Now, it's not a May, so if there's a target, you have to tap it. Now, sometimes that's going to mean you're tapping your own creatures. Other times, it's going to mean you're tapping the things that you could normally not swing through to get your attacks off, which is going to be great. But even when you're forced to tap your own creatures, well, it's not that awful, is it? Because you're going to generate treasures off it. So, it's quite good. It can help you get off some, quick starts. Rite of Flame just allows for turn 1 Magda, and, that's pretty good. Scope Prospector, we spoke about why that was in, Soul Ring. Well, that's a no-brainer. Springleaf Drum, again, it's acceleration. You tap an untapped creature. We've added Arcane Signet Felwar Stone in. It's just some more mana. We don't have the cheapo rocks. We don't have the expensive, cheap to cast rocks. So we'll go with the much cheaper, more expensive to cast rocks. Guild Artisan. We don't need to explain that card. It just makes lots of treasures. It's fantastic. High Speed Hoverback. It's a surprise. It's great. What do we got down here? Curse Mirror. We couldn't afford Dockside in this list. But if our opponent plays a Dockside, maybe we can get you some use out of it, Dwarven Bloodboiler. It's a tapper and it's a dwarf, so beautiful card. Mobile Garrison. Now, this is a cool little vehicle where you can actually get multiple uses of the same creature, so it can help you accelerate treasures and be a crewer. So, you tap a dwarf, right, to crew it. Then when you attack with this, you untap the dwarf you just tapped, right? So then you can crew again and just net an extra treasure. Just helps you, it can throw off your opponent's math. And that's honestly what the deck's about. If your opponent's ready for you to win, they will do everything to stop you. But if you can throw off the math, that's when you pull some surprise wins. Professional Facebreaker, again, casting one of these before you go to combat will throw off your opponent's math for the turn. They think they had an extra turn, then all of a sudden they did not. Senior Spirit Guide is just turn 1 Magda, and Zorn, again, every time you make a treasure, instead, create an additional one. Very, very good in the deck. We've got a couple of tutors. There's not very many in red. We have Gamble and Gamble Light, Goblin Engineer, and Imperial Recruiter. Imperial Recruiter, I could take it or leave it in this deck. It's probably good enough because it finds all these artifact dwarfs, but when you can't find Dockside off it, it's a bit sad. Although, you do, however, have access to Twin Shot Sniper off it, which is quite good. What do we got? Stacks Pieces. Now, our Stacks Pieces were a lot of the expensive cards in the deck. We had to cut a lot of those, and it makes me sad. But Pithing Needle is a silver bullet, tutorable to stop a lot of combos. Damping Sphere, again, it's going to stop your Storm decks. Also, pesky green decks that think they're going to make a whole ton of mana off Cradle / Flip Cradle enchantment. We don't like that here. Thorn of Amethyst and Godfairy Statue. We're going to tax your opponent's spells. So, yes, we play a lot of non-creatures. This deck will empty its hand very quickly, right? It also does play a lot of creatures, so it doesn't affect half the spells we're going to cast. And obviously this one doesn't affect us at all. 6 mana is a lot for this, but it is tutorable. You will come across Storm decks and combo decks. They're going to want to cast all the spells. And this says maybe you can only cast some of the spells, please? It's pretty good. Untagged lands. You know what? Let's tag some lands. Lands. Safe. Alright. Dwarven Mine. We're playing so many mountains, it was just worth a spot. Look, we've gone through everything. Now, if we turn off disable tags, if we disable tags, you see we're playing 27 creatures, 26 artifacts, 8 instants, and 5 sorceries, 3 enchantments. This one here, this is a great card actually. I don't know if we talked about this one, but tapping 2 untapped artifacts you control to deal 1 damage to target creature or player. It's very good. But yeah, look, that's the deck. That's the list. I'm rambling. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed my take on a budget version of the Magda Brazen Outlaw. Links to both the budget and budgetless versions will be in the description below, as well as a link to my Patreon, in case you'd like to support what I do and get access to some wonderful benefits. In the next video, I'll be tackling another monocolored budget brew commander. Drop a comment down below for what color you want to see next.